Black Americans are saying that they are nothing like Africans. In fact, they literally do not look like Africans. They don't have anything in common to do with Africans. A lot of Africans are pissed off. A lot of Africans are angry. A lot of Africans are saying, why is Black Americans saying this? After all, we are the same skin tone. The only difference is the intonation. The only difference is the fact that you people were enslaved from Africa. It was not only Africa that they enslaved Black Americans. Go and do your research. And honestly, if Black Americans choose not to even identify themselves with Africans at all, in fact, if Black Americans decide to say that we don't even know Africans, like I will be so excited. Like I'll be happy, I'll be comfortable because yes, Black Americans have gone through a lot in the hands of Africans. So just imagine you being beaten every single day, maltreated every single day, insulted by your biological dad. And when you guys go outside, that same biological dad wants you as a child to be proud. Wants you as a child to be proud. Is that possible? It's not possible, right? Anyways, welcome back to the channel. My name is Sonia. Subscribe, like, comment, and share. Credit belongs to the original creator of every single clips and stitches we have in our today's episode. If you have not subscribed, what are you waiting for? Subscribe, like, comment, and share. Thank you so much for staying. Thank you for subscribing, for joining my membership, and for dropping super thanks. I'm grateful. Let's get right into this. I'll be back with commentaries.
See, when you Africans get to telling us Black Americans that we look like y'all, that shit really do be funny to me. Because I really do believe that y'all think that other Americans can't tell the difference between us and y'all. And then y'all even would try to use this same excuse to stop FBAs or Black Americans from delineating from y'all, saying that white people can't tell the difference. And that shit is completely hilarious. You know what? Let's see what a white boy has to say about that right now. Y'all watch this.
As a white guy, like I can immediately tell like a Black American from an African. Like they're unbelievably different. And you can just tell even like a Haitian. Like in Florida, I know there's a lot of Haitians in Miami, like little Haiti. Like I can just tell. Talk like Black Americans. They don't act like them. They don't do anything. They don't really play sports. They don't like football. They don't like playing ball. They're just I don't know. They're weirdos.
Shit. Is that the white boy y'all are talking about that can't tell the difference between us and y'all? That can't be the same white boy that y'all claim can't tell the difference. Y'all just need to go ahead and just leave us alone, man.
Black people and Africans don't even look the same. I mean, look at Black Americans and then look at people from West Africa. You can clearly see that we're different. We don't look the same. So I can understand why Black people have no need to connect to Africa. This is totally false. So many of us have a very generalized view of looking at African culture. This is why we say things like Africans sold other Africans. Because what we do not acknowledge the various cultures that existed for hundreds, thousands of years on the continent of Africa, but we show that same degree of respect to cultures in Western Europe. So we'll be quick to discern between a Viking or a Visigoth and a Roman, or a person on the British Isles and the people of Gaul, or the Vandals of the ancient Iberian Peninsula, or the Greeks, etc. Although phenotypically, you could just say they look the same if you want to buy into the concept of race, but we acknowledge the difference in culture. But it seems like we don't extend that to West Africa. Like we wouldn't be willing to look at a person that's Mende and discern between them and a Wolof. We won't look at a person that is Fonte and discern between them and somebody that's Igbo. We won't look at somebody that's Hausa and discern between them and maybe a hunter-gatherer like, the Hadza people. We're just looking at it black and phenotype. And even with phenotype, we get it wrong. Because if you look at people like the Nuer of Sudan, their phenotype is definitely different from the people of Aswan in Egypt versus the people in Uganda, versus a lot of the groups in Uganda, excuse me. So there's a lot of difference in phenotype. Africa has a polytypic phenotype, just like many Black Americans are going to look vastly different from one another. So it's something that we have to question, because I think when we say black people don't look like Africans, we kind of buy into a racist narrative of just there's a generic African phenotype when there isn't one. It doesn't exist. Prior to colonialism, any of these events, there was a myriad of phenotypes on the continent. So it's hard to say when you say black people don't look like Africans, like, what do you mean by that? And also it can open the door for a lot of crazy, wonky theories like people are Israelites or indigenous, but that's a whole different conversation. So Africans have a polytypic phenotype. Black people have a polytypic phenotype. We're not a monolith. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Peace.
Alright, so this whole thing is getting out of hand, bro. Because you got too many people coming on Twitter and making blanket statements about black Americans, right? The crazy thing is just the idea even that all black Americans throughout the United States look the same. To even say if they resemble Africans or not, or what that people's genetic makeup is. One of the first things is, bro, what does an African look like? Because it was numerous groups of people that were brought over here in captivity. There's not one specific look anyway. The funny thing too is when you show people who are black American that do not resemble people from West Africa, like Cab Calloway, like Duke Ellington, like Thurgood Marshall, the first black Supreme Court justice who got rid of the separate but equal Jim Crow law, like Pam Grier, like black activist Elaine Brown, like black activist Angela Davis, like Rosa Parks, like black composer William Grant Still, like famous black boxer Joe Louis, Huey P. Newton, H. Rap Brown, Prince. And that's the past. Let me switch to modern day. Stephen Curry, Beyonce, Solange, Jada Pinkett Smith, Trippie Redd, G Herbo, Lil Bibby, Ice Cube, Professor Griff, Method Man, Pharrell Williams, can't forget Jaden Smith, Delano, Charles Barkley. And the cool thing about it is these aren't even biracial people. These are people who both of their parents are black Americans. I might as well put in the biracial people. They black American too. Jason Kidd, Logic, I'm being petty. The Rock, Tiger Woods. Y'all be like, oh, it don't count, he's biracial. No. Y'all made fun of him when you talking about he was cannibalization. And y'all was talking about if he get pulled over by the police, he's black. We putting him in. We putting the biracial people in. Tyler One, Alicia Keys, Mariah Carey, Mariah the Scientist, Lotto, Chili, Christopher Reed, Klay Thompson, Patrick Mahomes, Colin Kaepernick, your boy. And since the Ethiopian girl want to bring Lloyd into it, Lloyd, Princeton Perez, Ray. Hey, let me stop, right? Let me let y'all breathe. This one ain't biracial, but last but not least, your boy. So check this out, right? This what y'all gotta understand. Y'all gotta stop coming on this internet making blanket statements like this. Talking about black Americans look like Africans. All black people in all of these United States, all the US of A, look like people from West Africa. They look exactly like their West African ancestors. That's what you're saying? So anything, right, or any person that does not fit this stereotype, this blanket term, right, this dumb claim, y'all just gonna ignore the person. Whether they biracial or not, it doesn't fit what you, and y'all ain't even black Americans saying this, right? But it doesn't fit what you believe, so you're just gonna ignore it. And people supposed to take y'all on this internet seriously? So here's the thing, right? Can I find people that are Pakistani that resemble certain Italians? Yeah. Can I find certain Italians that resemble certain Lebanese people? Or Lebanese people that resemble certain people in Yemen? Yeah. Can I find some certain Cambodians that resemble people from Japan? Yes. We're all human beings, bro. Of course, you can nitpick out of every group. You can find a Rwandan that looks like a Somali person, right? Of course, you can do that with different groups of people, bro. That doesn't mean that that is the same group of people, the same way. It is truly disgraceful. It's sad. It's sorry that these people, these African migrants, they come over here and they want to be like us so bad. Then they say they don't want to be like us. Y'all got a whole thread. This thing got millions of impressions too, or views on Twitter. Y'all got a whole thread where everything from Morocco to Nigeria to South Africa to Eritrea and Somalia is trying to compare the way they look to us. and picking people and don't even know anything about people's history or genealogy to even be doing that. Bro, Bernice Burgos is a Puerto Rican. She's not even Black American. Bruh, there's white people that resemble certain black. This dude looks smack like Snoop Dogg, bruh. So y'all get to make these claims about how Black Americans and Africans look the same. They look the same. And all the people that are exceptions that are Black American who family been in this United States just supposed to move aside and act like, oh, well, I don't look West African, so let me just ignore that this person made this whole blanket statement on my people, on my ethnicity. Let me just move aside. Let me just act like this person didn't just say that. Something that was incorrect and you bear witness to not be true. Nah, man. It's disgraceful. And what y'all are doing, y'all think that y'all mocking us. Y'all mocking y'all ancestors doing this. You mocking your Nigerian ancestors. You mocking your Senegalese ancestors. You're mocking your Ethiopian ancestors by doing this. It's not even funny. Now, are there Black Americans that resemble people from West Africa? Yes, bruh. There's Black Americans that even resemble people from East Africa, even though that's not one of the places where that they would have been taking these people from and bringing them to the Americas in the whole transatlantic slave trade thing. Nobody's denying that you can find people that look similar the same way. Y'all get mad when that people try to compare themselves to the indigenous artifacts, and y'all say that doesn't mean anything. That's just a couple. Okay, so why don't y'all keep the same energy when it comes to something like this? They want to be fake. They think it's funny. It's not funny. Y'all mocking y'all own ancestors doing this, and it's not even funny, bruh. And then it's like, bruh, they brought people from West Africa over here to the Americas centuries ago. We talking about 200 years ago, 300 years ago, 400 years ago, 500 years ago when they brought the first group. Like, bro, you see how, like, in Europe, bro, in Europe, look at all the people that's black, right? People from the Caribbean, people from Africa that immigrated to parts of Europe. And look how quick that they already done made mixed breed children. People that's half Jamaican, half Irish. People that's half Nigerian, half Swedish. Look how quick that the black people who immigrated to, we talking about less than half a century. Just within 40 years of you seeing black people immigrate to a lot of these places in Europe, France, and everything. Look at all the mixed race people that they already made. Just right off the bat, we talking about not even a century to that extent of people in Africa really immigrating in Europe and living in Sweden and Germany and Ireland and France and Spain, Italy, etc. Look at all the mixed race people that they already made. And you surprised that there's so many English speaking blacks over here in the Americas, and then even the Spanish speaking blacks, aka what they call the Afro Latinos, that don't really look that much like their West African counterparts. And that's surprising, y'all. Nah, y'all want to be on some ignorant stuff, but y'all not being truthful. That's the problem. If you won't be truthful, how do you expect black people over here in the Americas to match whatever it is that you got going on? And y'all on here playing games. Y'all disgracing y'all own ancestors.
Y'all are literally so disrespectful, bro. Y'all really say anything out of y'all mouth. Y'all so disrespectful, man. First of all, y'all just start calling yourself black. I'm gonna need y'all to stop that. If you're not African, you're not black. You don't get to tell Black Americans that at all. You don't get to tell us that. Especially when you just start calling yourself black. Black Americans made it cool and made y'all comfortable with calling yourself black. And I know exactly what I look like and who I am. I'm not no damn African. I don't know why, nor do I care why y'all get so offended when we say that we're not African. We're not. We're American. I am a Black American. And then you tell me, and I'm trying to figure out, like, who do you think you are? Talking about some no, y'all was the me no black. I call some of y'all black back then. Back then, y'all would have whole attitudes, fits, And no, we don't all look alike. We don't. I can tell the difference between an African and a black American. I can. See what you're actually doing, and you need to stop. You're low key judging us by our skin, by our color of our skin. And I know that sounds crazy, right? It does sound crazy. Because who else do that? Y'all act just like them.
Saying that black culture is just a black American thing is so offensive. I told myself,
someone took the time to download this and send it to me. This woman blocked me about a year, 2 years ago for trying to explain to her what she did not want to accept. That black culture is black American culture, ethnic black American culture. That's what it is, okay? So inside the video, she's basically saying that, oh my gosh, it's so offensive. It's so offensive. How is it? It's so offensive to say that black culture is only black American culture. Well, it actually is. Okay, so I want you to read this. Absolutely no specific. You can go all throughout the continent of Africa. Honestly, you can. And nowhere in their history did they name their cultures, their specific cultures, black culture. Nowhere. Okay? No ethnic group there. None. Zero. There is no black culture in Africa. There is none. Find it. There is no specific black culture in Africa. There is none. Okay? You can go to the Caribbean. There is none. Okay? There is none. Her issue is she's over here in the United States of America. I'm assuming she still is. Okay? And we say black culture because that's the name of our specific culture. It's been that way. Okay? It's been that way. We did not take into account Africa or the Caribbean, and we did not shade them either. We did not do that. We did not take into account everybody around the globe because we are not a monolith just because of our race. We are not a monolith, okay? We did not say, okay, we're going to we didn't take it upon ourselves to name everybody around the globe black culture. We don't even know. We did when this was going on, we didn't know anybody else's culture. This was ours in the United States of America. We cannot help it if a lot of people move over here. That is a personal choice. When you get here, you hear black culture. And for some reason you assume that it is yours too. It's not. Take the time to listen and stop arguing. To say that it's offensive, how is it offensive when our black culture is way more recent than anybody's in Africa? How does it offend you that black Americans' culture is black culture? How is that offensive when you already have a plethora of cultures in Africa? How does it offend you that 400 something odd years later, black Americans say black culture, then all of a sudden it offends you? How? What? That makes absolutely no sense. I've put this up before. There was a Nigerian scholar. When she moved into the United States of America, she understood that it had nothing to do, black culture has nothing to do with your melanation. It has nothing to do with that. It has everything to do with my ethnicity. Okay? Because black to Black Americans is our ethnicity. So how does my ethnicity offend you? This is what she blocked me for. How on earth does my ethnicity offend you when you already have an ethnicity? That's like me saying, oh, I'm offended because you are Zulu. Because just because. It is our ethnicity. Just like Igbo culture is Igbo culture. Haitian culture is Haitian culture. It's named after their ethnicity, right? Black culture is named after our ethnicity here in the United States of America. Yeah, that's what it is. But for some reason, many people in the diaspora are trying to rearrange something that, no, you can't rearrange that. Just like your parents and their parents have a culture named after their ethnicity, ours is named after ours. Okay? Ours is Black culture. That can't be offensive. If it is, you have a problem. Here's some more reading. Because clearly,
Black Americans don't realize their hair is only loose textured because 4 generations ago, there was a white person in their family. That's why when people say, oh, your hair's just dry, it's not moisturized, that's why you don't have a curl pattern with 4C. Defined hair does not mean your hair is moisturized. Maturing is realizing frizz is just volume. Most 4C hair textures don't have a curl pattern. 1 out of 100,000 people with 4C hair can curl their 4C hair. This is as curly as 4C can get. If it's any curlier, you ain't 4C babes. Not everyone can clump their curls. Each individual strand of hair curls in its own different way when we talk about 4C. We can't clump a bunch of hair strands together and make it curly. Most of us can't. But I mean, I could be wrong because I see Africans from South Africa saying their hair is much tighter than people from West Africa. And I've seen them say that West African hair looks a lot like African American 4C. African 4C is the true 4C. Maybe a lot of African Americans starting at 4B because...
Okay, so I'm seeing some comments on my post that's trying to engage us as Black people, particularly starting this conversation from a Black Caribbean perspective and how we show up in America in relation to our cousins, Black Americans, right? And so I'm not pulling people's comment because everybody doesn't have the maturity to engage in this conversation. I don't want people commenting to be attacked. So if you didn't see the video and you don't see the comment, cool. But there was a Black Caribbean woman that left a comment and she said, what you're saying, and this is the absolute truth. I'm from the Caribbean, and I didn't always embrace my Black American cousins, and I've had a lot of unlearning to do, and I now embrace the Black struggle as a whole. However, sometimes Black Americans do not, in turn, embrace me, and I want to speak to that. And this is not me downplaying the Black struggle, because we all have our struggles based on where we come from, whether we're Black in the Caribbean, Black in Latin countries, Black in America, Black in the UK, and Black in Canada. However, I think we can all agree that the group of Black people who have had the hardest of times, right, particularly for us in America, have been Black Americans. Now, there was something that a Caribbean woman said, and she got cussed out, but what she said was something to discuss. And she said that in the Caribbean, we got the ability to read and write sooner, and we got access to be able to take back our country and have Black countries, and Black Americans had to go through Jim Crow. And if you've come to America as a Caribbean person or African person, and you have not gotten the history of Jim Crow, if you've not seen the videos, if you've not seen the still footages, I encourage you to go see it, right? Now, when you are a people that experience slavery for 400 years, in places where slavery was outlawed for us. Now, although we weren't treated like equals, but we were not treated like Black Americans in our country, in our land, right? So when you have a group of people like Black Americans who have experienced what they have experienced for hundreds of years, and then decades of Jim Crow discrimination and segregation filled with nothing but violence and lynchings, right? I want you to remember this, violence and lynchings. And then you come out of that, and then you go and advocate, not just for yourselves as Black people, but for people who are not Black. And other Black people from throughout the diaspora to be able to come to this land, build the land of freedom, right? You've gone through all of that as a people. You continue to go through that struggle as a people. And then when you have a chance to advocate for yourself, you not only think about yourself, but you think about Black people on other parts of the world. You think about Asians. You think about the Hispanics. You make sure in your civil rights bills, right? A bill designed to equal the playing field for you as Black people in America. You do so and also include these other groups of people. And then these other groups of people come here and put their nose up towards you. And they do that for decades. Decades. And the fact that 1 or 2 or even 10 of us as Caribbean people get this, the fact that 1 or 2 or even 10 of us as African people get this, the expectation that Black Americans should forget how we have showed up for them for decades and then turn around and embrace us because we are the 1 or the 2 Caribbean people that have figured this out is an unfair ask. It's an unfair ask. And so it may hurt your feelings, right? Deal. It may make you feel like, how can I come together in unity? Deal. We're asking a group of people who have experienced some of the worst, not just from the people who do not look like them, but from the people who look like them. And just because a few of us have gotten this doesn't mean that we are entitled to their spaces. Doesn't mean that we are entitled to their forgiveness. Doesn't mean we are entitled to their community. We're not entitled to it. We have to earn it. And the way we earn it is to always show up. Because one thing I will tell you about Black Americans, they are some of the most welcoming, kind, empathetic, and forgiving group of people I've ever encountered. And so it may hurt your feelings for a little bit. We're going to have to deal. We're going to have to deal. And in the meantime, we need to be talking to our fellow Caribbean people, the people who come from where we come from, fellow African people where we come from, to educate them so that we are lessening the harm that these new wave of immigrants come in with, right? Because this conditioning is set back in the Caribbean. So by the time they get here, So instead of being offended or affronted that some African Americans do not welcome you in as if you are family and Black to them, they deserve that. They've earned that. We as a collective, right? I need us as Black people to start thinking as a collective and not as individuals. Because when we do that, we're sounding like white people. Well, I'm a good Black Caribbean person. No shit. Oh, well. Caribbean people as a whole, as a collective, have done a lot of harm to our cousins. African people as a whole, as a collective, have done a lot of harm to our cousins. And so instead of coming to this conversation from an individual place, I need us to come to this conversation from a collective place. From a collective place. And if you don't feel welcomed by some Black Americans, that's okay. You continue to do the work to educate yourself about your cousins, right? And you continue to do the work to educate other Caribbean people around you. So that anytime they try to say anything slick about Black Americans that they know and understand in your presence, they will always get checked.
Can we just talk about how African Americans and Africans don't even look that different?
I used to wonder, what was this obsession with all of these Africans from different countries saying that Black Americans look African all the time? And I always wondered why they get so offended when we say we can tell that there are, people from that continent, from Africa. Like, we can tell. And then they go, what country? And they get like really butthurt. But when you guys say that we look Black American, we don't say, well, what state? Because essentially our states here are the equivalent of some of your countries, like the sizing, the type of people that live there. Like, you can usually tell a Southern person from a Northern person, and definitely a Midwest or a Western person. Like, obviously a lot of people have migrated across, the country, but for a lot of the times you can kind of tell. I had no idea until I did some further research that the reason why you guys get so mad when we say that you look African, well, let me let an African tell you.
You look African. It's such a simple and succinct statement. And for Africans in the diaspora, it's a very sensitive one at the same time. Like, I know, maybe not for everybody or maybe just for me, but like, because subconsciously Africans associate like looking African with like the struggle, a bit of the past. So like, we rather someone discover that we are African than, like just know, because then you just see the African. We know the African look is a strong look, like, subconsciously, of course, because that's what we've seen is this look of victory, roots, give us free, so we associate that. So when someone else says like, oh my God, you look African, it's like, hey, why? Can you see? Can you see my past? Can you see the struggles? It's a, brother, why do I look African? What about me? What about me showed you Africa? you look African is very different. But go up to an African today and tell them, just from jump, hey, you look African, and see their reaction. The first look is concerned, then it's like, oh, yeah.
So, Black Americans, y'all really think y'all are not African? I just made a video to prove that the African person, the heavily melanated person, was proven scientifically to be the most intelligent species on the earth, by Dr. Edward W. Robinson. Go check that video out. And I'm surprised by the people who call themselves Black Americans. You think you're not African? Let me find the compassion in my heart for this ignorance. Okay. I know that a lot of Black people don't like to read, and that's our problem. Because you know all the songs on the radio. You know everything that's happening on the shade room. But you don't pick up a book, and that's why you don't know your history, my love. All humans originated from people in Africa. These Africans, that's why when you check something on a box, it says African American. You may have been born in America and you may consider yourself Black, but where do you think the Black comes from? Your black skin, which is melanin, which is what makes you an African, because the Europeans cannot produce melanin like an African. Okay, so let me take you back to the history lesson. And I actually talked about this before. The first humans were all Africans. The Europeans came from the Africans who got stuck in the ice ages, and they were forced to lose their melanin. So that's why technically a European will still have African in their ancestry, because all humans came from Africans. So let's fast forward to today. These African Americans who like to say they are Black Americans and not African, you are ignorant and you are brainwashed, and I'm so sorry that you don't know who you are. Yes, you are African, because these Africans migrated all over the world, including America. They discovered America way before Christopher Columbus was ever thought of. Okay, a lot of Black people were indigenous to America for thousands of years. There were Africans in America for thousands and thousands of years before Christopher Columbus even thought of even coming over here. So yes, you Black Americans, you are African.
We are from here. We are indigenous to the Americas. The reason why I say that is because Black Americans, 40 to 45% of their mothers were of the L2A haplogroup. Guess what? Those who have DNA who are tied to the American Indians of the Eastern Woodland Kingdoms, well, their L2A haplogroup is 35 to 45%. Right? So 35 to 45% of the Eastern Woodland Indians and 40 to 45% of Black Americans share the same mothers. Now remember, I said it's the DNA of the Eastern Woodland Kingdom because we can't call that Native American DNA, because Native American haplogroups are A, B, C, D, and X. And within the Eastern Woodland Kingdoms, that A, B, C, D, and X combined is less than 5%. So Native American has no claims on the people within the Eastern Woodland Kingdoms. So that shows you at the very least that the Eastern Woodland Kingdoms have Black American DNA, have our DNA in an overwhelmingly capacity.
Look at this. When people say, you ain't Black American, you ain't Black American, something wrong with your nose.
They say I don't have no nose
right.
bridge. My nose flat right here, not like yours.
I knew something was wrong. See them eyes, the way them eyes spread out like that.
What that supposed to mean?
The nose, yeah, you ain't, something ain't right.
What that supposed to mean? I'm 100% Black American. My grandma from Georgia. My grandpa is from Carolina. 100%. That DNA. Look, my DNA ain't even got no white in it.
Man, it's too late for me.
Y'all crazy how y'all saying that I'm not Black American because my nose and my eyes. And this ain't even a comment. The other comment just straight out said it. Like, she ain't like us. She is not Black American. Look at her nose. She don't got no nose bridge. What? I think that would mean that I'm more like Black American. Don't y'all like accuse?
A bunch of content creators have been saying they can tell the difference between a black face and an African face. There have been a lot of non-think pieces on this, and I've been avoiding the topic like the plague, but I just wanted to just add a tiny bit of context. This is weird. Even saying it is strange to me. Why do we have to establish that, oh, you look different than me? I heard a creator saying that American states are similar to like African countries in size and quantity. Absolutely not. The continent of Africa is the most ethnically and genetically diverse place on the planet. The genetic diversity between a country like Cameroon and Morocco, and then trying to say that that's the difference between Georgia and Alabama, please stop talking. So if you don't have some degree in like phenotypic anthropology of the sub-Saharan African region, I just need you to sit down. I mean, I don't have that. But this notion that we somehow have to phenotypically differentiate ourselves from Africans just sounds like white supremacy to me. And I know not everything has to be that, but it's just like, why do we care? And what is the primary difference a lot of us are talking about? It's just giving that you want to rely on that 20% admixture to somehow make you different, as opposed to find ways to be the same. Because for you, maybe unconsciously, what would it mean to be similar to folks from the continent of Africa? And why wouldn't you be proud of that and want to find additional ways in which you were connected and related to folks from, let's say, Ghana? Because I'm all for embracing difference, right, and loving it. But when I hear a lot of these conversations, I'm not getting embracing the difference. I'm getting unconscious hierarchy. And some of that may stem from trauma, from this feeling of forced alienation a lot of Black Americans of the diaspora have experienced, from the built-in prejudices of Africans and Blackness in our country, the self-hate that we have about being African and being descendant of slaves. Because I know things have changed, but when I was in junior high and high school, everybody was talking about their white great-grandma and their Indian great-grandma. Everybody was trying to be anything but Black. And I'm just saying, my people are from Guinea-Bissau, Sierra Leone, and Liberia, and I love it. I would love to look like some of the people from those countries. There is beauty and value within every single ethnic group on this planet. You don't have to deny entire swaths of your ancestry to feel worthy. You are beautiful just the way you are.
Jay Versace made a tweet saying that he thinks that people who are extremely African looking are the ones who get picked for a lot of modeling jobs. Now, I kind of agree to an extent, but can we just talk about how African Americans and Africans don't even look that different? A lot of African Americans look extremely African. Alondria from Love Island, for example. Everyone was saying how they thought that she was Nigerian. Viola Davis, Wesley Snipes, and even Jay Versace himself, to me, looks very African. My point is that we are not a monolith and we look more alike than we look different.
So let's do this, madam, because I want to give you a small history lesson. Now, it's not that Africans are the ones that even give any of these labels. Would you know that it's Black people in America, or as you like to say, African Americans, that even love doing these labels? And we wonder why. Because whether you like it or not, we are all Black. If we all go outside of this country right now, whether you are Black in America, Black in Africa or something, we are Black people. Now, it's when you're in America that you start seeing the division, because I told you, it wasn't even white people giving me the division. It was my fellow Black people. Oh, you African. Oh, you this. So technically, even with what you're saying, I should be African American. You should be Black, because I'm actually African, but I was born and raised in America while you are Black. And that's what I'm saying. It's a stupid label. It makes no sense. We are all Black.
The FBA people, I'm starting to think y'all are psychotic, because y'all are also Trump supporters and Trump voters too. Because he's telling me that I don't look Black American. I am African, even though I'm telling him that I am Black American, African American. My grandparents go back multiple generations, were here. My grandmother said that we were Blackfoot Indian. However, when I did my Ancestry DNA results, no Native anything came up in my blood. I have 4% of Irish and Italian mixed together. And I'm happy about that. So that means the women in my family was not raped repeatedly over multiple generations. So I am proudly a dark-skinned African American woman. I am a descendant of slaves. You cannot be that, but I am. You do not tell me what and who I am. Y'all are insane. And so you mentioned I had on a filter. Okay, so the filter is off. Now what?
Africans are black and African Americans are brown. This is 100% wrong. Sorry, I have to be upfront. African and African Americans, the difference is not color. The difference is nationality. Keyword nation in the word nationality. What nation you are from depends whether or not you are African or African American. Those of African descent that were taken over to America for slavery, those are now African Americans. They are of African descent but have now been brought to America. Everyone's ancestors, including my own, of Nigerian heritage that were then transferred to America for slavery, and then they had kids, therefore bringing birth to me eventually. We are African American because originally I'm Nigerian, but was then shipped to America as a product. More on that a different day. Africans, on the other hand, are of African descent and live in Africa, or were born and remained in Africa until they immigrated over. Now you may be thinking, well then why are some Africans darker than African Americans? Because people used to sexually assault slaves, therefore putting some white genetics in the African American population. Hope this helps.
I know what you guys really want to know. They look exactly like the women in the United States. Like, I mean, exactly. You cannot tell the difference. Like, and when I got there, I told my homeboy, I was like, man, it's a bunch of Americans in here. And I started hearing everybody speak in the native language. I was like, damn, they look just like us. They weren't lying when they said the slaves came from this country. Everybody here looks American. If you're from the United States, or I guess if you're from the UK, they look exactly like we do.
Hey, dear God, I have seen Delulu before, but this one is peak. This is delusional. Look at Chinedu. Chinedu that we used to know in Asaba, they're rolling tires, suddenly gone to America, and has forgotten that we look alike. Dear Chinedu, you are African. Baba, to be the father that gave birth to your father, yes, he's from Africa. And let me tell you, it boils down to the inferiority complex that people have here. Once you hear accents, or you think that something is foreign, you people, your head has woken up. You're starting to That's why you hear that, oh, someone finished their MBA from University of Crow. Immediately, you people just think it's automatically better than you. You don't know if this past the person came out with third class, anything is better than you. That's why they will do IJGB party in Lagos here. I just got back party, they will say you people are not invited inside your own Lagos. Or you'll be working in a car Atlantic there, they will say, oh, please, only expatriates are allowed to work here. Imagine inside our own country. It's because God needs to open you people's eyes from this delusion. My God, set my people free.
Please, please, please stop trying to Africanize Black Americans. We are 400 to 500 years removed from that continent. We have 400 to 500 years of rich history in America. Our ancestors fought, died to be American, to have rights in this country, to give us the future they saw, a better life, to be American. We don't want the African culture. We have our own culture, the most influential culture in the world. Stop trying to Africanize us. Please, please, please. With all due respect.
Anyways, you guys have seen all of that video. And like I keep saying, I will keep saying it. I don't blame any Black Americans if they are saying that. In fact, Black Americans should not even identify with Africans. Yeah, that's the truth. That's the truth, because for centuries upon centuries, Africans have literally been betraying Black Americans from day one. From day one. A lot of Africans that were enslaved, some Africans that were enslaved to America today, is as a result of our African leaders selling them for t-pence. Yeah. Yes. So if they were not greedy enough, if they were contented, I think when these white men came, they wouldn't have been able to just hand over our people to them just like that. And you expect me, after I've been maltreated, I've gone through slavery, segregation, Jim Crow, name what I've not gone through as a Black American woman. You want me to now still identify myself as an African because we have the same color, because we have the same hair texture, because we look the same? Is a lie. I am not. In fact, Black Americans are the foundational Black American. In fact, we as Africans should put our mindset that Black Americans never existed in Africans. They never existed. Because apart from all of the struggle that they've been through, you guys have literally been seeing my videos of what Africans have been doing to Black Americans. African immigrants have been doing to Black Americans, reminding them of their trauma, reminding them of the hatred they have for them, reminding them of the modern day slavery. So it is their right. You are not like them. You don't look like them. So quit it. Quit again. Why do they need to be identified? Why is it that Black Americans don't want to identify with Africans? Because Africans are betrayers. Because Africans are people that when you give them opportunity, they will take the opportunity and even want to take your own. That's who we are as Africans. When you give them, they want to take everything that belongs to you and add it up to their own. So I don't blame any Black Americans saying we don't look alike. After all, we don't speak the same language. After all, you people say Black Americans do not have culture. So why do you still want to identify with them? Why do you still want them to come and clap for you and be like, oh, we look like Africans? We look like Africans, right? Yeah. You still want them to do that? After everything that they've gone through in your hands? After you have literally used your hands to condemn them, to say they are lazy, to say they don't deserve to be in America, to say they are not the one that built America? After you have literally idolized white folks, ignoring all of their struggles, every single thing they've been through, you still want them to identify with you? You still want them from the depth of your heart, as an African that is watching this video, for Black Americans to identify with you? That means you're wicked. You're wicked. Even my adopted mom and dad, right? If today they come up and be like, I don't want to have anything to do with Africans, honestly, I will not question them. I'll be like, Mom, you're right. Dad, you are 100% right. Yeah, that's what I will tell them. Because I know what my mom has literally gone through in the hands of African immigrants. In fact, if not for her personality and the kind of person she is, I don't think by now she would have been doing every single thing that she's still doing for me. She would have said, okay, she is also African, just let her go. Use your head as Africans. Subscribe, like, comment, and share. Credit belongs to the original creators of every single clips and stitches we have in our today's episode. And guys, I want to say a very big thank you to every single one of you liking my videos, dropping commentaries, sharing my videos, dropping super thanks, and also joining my membership. I do not take you guys for granted. You guys are absolutely the best. But anyways, let me know what you think about this particular video. And yes, with that being said, with no further ado, I'd like to say in my videos, I'm going to be saying bye, and I'll see you guys in my next one. For now, bye guys. I love you guys. Mwah.